Joined this morning with our guest host, Jenn Taylor, the Naked Podcaster.
Yeah.
So I want to stop the bus for a second because I got to talk to you about this.
Yeah.
Because the first time I was made aware of the Naked Podcaster, the staff was talking to me about, hey, we've got to get Jenn. She's amazing. She's so insightful, so intelligent, so funny. We got to get her on board. Okay, well, what's her name of her podcast? The Naked Podcaster. And so I, in my mind, was like, oh, it's like naked furniture. It's a moniker. It's stripped down. It's raw. It's gritty. It's real. The Naked Podcaster. And then I talked to you on the phone and we got to know each other a little bit. And I was like, hey, great name. Like, awesome. I love that. And naked. And then you were like, yeah, I am actually naked.
Yes.
So help us understand why in an audio format you are actually naked doing these interviews. What's that all about? What's the reasoning behind that?
I wrote a book 4.5 years ago about my story of dysfunction growing up. And my goal was to make people feel less alone in their struggle and then give them the tools and tips and tricks. Because as a 6-year-old kid or a 9-year-old kid or a teenager, you have no idea the skill set that you're developing while you're going through really traumatic events. So as a 40-something-year-old woman, I could say, you know, this is what I was learning. These are the skill sets that I brought on. The book was released, and that's very exciting. I'm very proud of that. But I'm one story.
Right.
So I really wanted to showcase other stories. And the podcast was born. Actually, my husband's best friend said, Jenn, you should just do a podcast. And he handed me my first microphone, Jim Cooley, and I started the podcast 3.5 years ago. And my goal was to share other people's story of trauma, dysfunction, really, really tough stuff and struggles. So everything you said about the podcast is true. It's raw, it's gritty. You know, my goal isn't to make people cry when I interview them, but when people hit that level of emotional rawness, that's where I want them to be. So when you're listening and it's someone talking about an eating disorder, for example, and you've had that experience, you feel less alone, like there's someone out there that gets me. And then how have they gotten through that? The who, what, when, where, and how you got through or continue to get through that struggle. So it offers the ability for people to feel less alone and then to build their toolbox of skills to be able to get through their own traumatic events.
Well, I'm excited to say that all of you out there can look forward to, in the coming weeks, I'm teasing it now, in the coming weeks you're going to hear about the Naked Podcaster in video format, dropping on the National Grassroots Broadcasting Network here in NGBN Carson City and NGBN Douglas County and NGBN Tri-Counties and NGBN Southwick. So all of our local affiliates will begin to have the Naked Podcaster on Sunday afternoons at 6 p.m., Sunday evening. And it's raw, and it's gritty, and it's naked.
I'm naked.
But we don't see you naked.
No. A Zoom video, as most of us know now through the pandemic, it's like armpits up. So I am supporting my guests. I'm asking them to be very raw in their story emotionally, and I support them by being naked and raw physically.